This is Neil Patrick Harris. I am usually talking like this because I am announcing in front of a large audience at an award show. But today I am telling you that you should support indie podcasters. For example, Mike's Daily Podcast. Unlike other shows that you see all over iTunes and Stitcher, he doesn't pay for advertising. Nor has he ever won an award, and I have never announced him until this. How do I keep talking at this level? I'm about to go hoarse. I'm extremely talented. I play a straight man better than most straight men do, even though I am gay. Thank you. I'm Neil Patrick Harris.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 829. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in PodCastro Valley, California. Today it's the return of the much-loved feature, News Random, where we look at some interesting news stories. Plus we hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. And methane-based creatures. On one of Saturn's moons, there's a methane-based creature living in my house named Basil.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Basil the Boxer. Yes, boxers are gassy, but in so many other ways they dazzle.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Have you ever had a large cup of delicious horchata? It's a Mexican rice drink full of cinnamon drama. Drama-Rama was a band that sang, I would do anything, anything. You get lots of helpful information when you watch TV with closed captioning. Another great drink here in California is boba with tapioca pearls.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you guys find it distracting when you see yoga tights on girls? Women.
Daily.
It was just a rhyme. I'm not creepy.
Podcast.
This show couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
But if Howard Jones was here, things could only get better. And do you feel scared? I do. Then I won't stop and falter. Look who just walked in. Hello, my masters. This is Madame Rootabega. And on the last show, the brewmaster said he was dating Björk. Oh. Yeah, are you a little bit jealous? Because didn't you two used to date? I never dated Björk. No, I mean you and the brewmaster. Yes, Michael Masters, there was a time when we were a little bit romantic. Oh. And happily that time has passed because I was also a bit creepy. It's true, Michael Masu. And Benita said that she got her hair done by Carole King. So a lot of interesting things happened on last show. And look who else just walked in.
Hello, dear Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, what the heck? You were talking about papusas at one point on a previous show, and now it's horchata. When are you going to stop drinking drinks from other countries and drink something from right here in the USA? Teapotty Express.
Yeah, Mike, why don't you drink some tea? Show that you're a real American. Do you know that? Tea is from so many other countries other than America. I mean, you guys, think of something a little bit more American. Like Coke or something.
Mike, how dare you mention that name? Those people are evil.
They're evil? Well, I know that, but they're evil, huh? Yeah, Mike, they made Santa Claus, and he's the devil. Do you know that? It's true. Yeah, actually, Santa Claus. But why am I talking about this Christmas trivia? We're so past that. We're in March now, for crying out. It's the first day of March. Neil Patrick Harris introduced the show. New things are afoot. Award shows are over with, right? Done. No more of that. So it's a whole new part of our life. Almost spring, which means soon women will be back wearing their yoga tights again. I know on the East Coast they're not because it's a little bit cold and they would get the frostbite. But leggings and yoga pants are still de rigueur around here in California because it is still pretty warm. Although today we did get a bit of thunder and lightning as I was walking Basil the Boxer we were over by the bay, and I did see some lightning up in the sky. It was rather fascinating. Michael Matthew, I love the thunder and the lightning. The way you make me feel is frightening. I'm gonna knock on wood. Very good, Michael Matthew. Anyone remember that song? It's a good one. Okay, so we had a little bit of lightning in the sky, got some good pictures, good sunset pictures. In fact, other Bay Area friends also had posted amazing sunset pictures all around the Bay Area today. So it's just an amazing place to be. Perhaps you will see some of those sunset pictures that your friends from the Bay Area will post. Isn't that the amazing thing about social media?
Mike, I want to buy some yoga tights and put them on. They look really comfortable, D.
Yeah, comfortable. We strive for comfort. Do you know that? I don't think any men should be in tights unless they're Peter Pan. So you guys don't wear them. And don't encourage them to put on tights. Guys, no tights for you.
Too bad. I already put some on, D.
No, they just don't work on men. They don't. Oh, and we have damage to my eyes. Do you know that? Mike, I do know that. Do you know that? Yeah, it's something I didn't want to know. But this is fascinating. This is something you need to know, and that is scientists believe oxygen-free methane-based aliens might exist on the icy Saturn moon Titan. Yeah, this according to viralglobalnews.com, a group of scientists at Cornell University believe that Titan, one of Saturn's moons, may have life. However, it would not be in the form that human beings know. Methane-based life forms might live on Titan, the scientists have said, after they created a model of an oxygen-free life form which would be able to thrive in the icy, unforgiving conditions that Saturn's moon offers. They studied the various forms of cell membranes that exist on Earth, which are made up of lipid bilayer structures. The Cornell scientists said that such membranes would not be able to exist in environments where liquid water could not be present. Titan has plenty of lakes filled with methane, so that means it might not be habitable in the way that scientists had formerly described. The scientists from Cornell University say that it was Isaac Asimov, the celebrated sci-fi writer, who first gave the rudimentary inspiration for the idea in the paper, which was called the Not As We Know It essay. It was written about non-water-based life forms because Saturn's moon is the only known celestial form in the solar universe to have naturally occurring fluids on its surface except for the Earth. The group of scientists believe it to be a possible perfect foundation for life forms to develop. The group has also discovered a compound they named acrylonitrile azotasum. Blah. Blah. Sorry, my mouth got off track and was mumbling some other alien language, which will be translated years from now, since this podcast will be put on some sort of capsule that we shot into space. Right now. There it goes. We'll hear from aliens in 2,000 years. Anyway, that strange acrylonitrile azotosum, which appeared to show good stability, it had a strong barricade to decomposition and a suppleness that was similar to phospholipid membranes that exist on Earth. Acrylonitrile is a poisonous, colorless, liquid organic compound that is used in the production of acrylic fibers and thermoplastics, and it is present in Titan's atmosphere. I know. What are the chances? Well, that's fascinating. What do you think about that alien life living on Titan? They've been saying that before. Now I'm really scared, and I will not be able to fall asleep tonight. Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. What do you think about horchata? What do you think about yoga tights and leggings? And what do you think about Howard Jones? And what do you think about Chumbawamba? You know what? Yeah, they sing that song, I fall down, I get up again, and pissing the night away and all that. And we've been doing this whole 90s retro thing in our society lately, with Will Smith singing all of his songs on different talk shows, all of his big songs. And you've got Christina Aguilera doing Britney Spears. You've got country artist Dierks Bentley doing retro 90s country. So Chumbawamba was huge in the 90s with that one song, Tub Thumping. But they had so many. I have an album from them that I bought I think it was at a garage sale for like a penny. It's called and it's fantastic. It's when they kind of left the techno, electro music, whatever you want to call it, that they were doing in the 90s. And they went more folk, and it's fantastic. But, they're very anachronistic, if that's the way you say that word. Anachronism. They're not that. They want society to fall apart because they don't like the way society's structured now. So they have some interesting views that they put in their songs, and they offend a lot of people, but still, they sound nice. It's weird. It's kind of like candy that when you eat it, it kicks you in the head with a big boot that pops out of the candy, and it kicks you in the... How would that work? I can't explain that. I can't explain Titan. I can't explain anything. I can't tell you why that boba drink with tapioca pearls tastes delicious, but it does. And I can't tell you why. Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com if you can tell me why. We read your comments in the section emails from email. Also, email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We also have the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, where we have links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Comment on the show and rate the show. If you do that, more people find out about us. And we no longer languish in obscurity, like what NPH was talking about trying to break out of earlier in the show. We're also on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and the TuneIn Radio app. We're on Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, and Spreaker. And you can share this show on Facebook, like the Facebook page when I post oh my gosh, we're almost at 100 likes too. We're at one more like, and we're at 100. Be that person to kick us into the triple digits. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share that with your friends, so more people will find out about us that way. The link to that at mikesdailypodcast.com, as well as the link to where to find us on Twitter, Instagram, Yelp, and Tumblr. And we also have the Amazon link. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go through mikesdailypodcast.com first, and then click on that Amazon link and buy whatever it is. And if you do that, that helps us out. That gives us some support if Amazon's feeling generous. You can also read the blog, see the daily podcast picture, and hear all my past interviews there at mikesdailypodcast.com.
News random.
News to you that is randomly pursued. Random emissions of news stories for you. And we begin with a story that has to do a little bit with this band. That'd be Pink Floyd. Tim Westergren. He is the founder of Pandora. He and other Pandora officials often argue that Pandora has pursued lower costs because it has yet to actually turn a profit, i.e. it doesn't pay out much per songs getting played on their internet radio station. And although it's true that the company has never made more than it spends, Westergren's defense does not stand up to close scrutiny. This, according to the East Bay Express. Records show that, like many web companies, Pandora's top officials and privileged shareholders have been collecting millions from stock transactions despite Pandora's supposed unprofitability. In short, Pandora has pitched artists on the idea that it represents an escalator to financial viability in the digital age, but in truth, it's just a staircase painted like an escalator with steps missing. With about 76 million active listeners, Pandora is the most prominent webcaster. Few artists have publicly objected to Pandora's official royalty board filing. It appears that the complexity of copyright law and royalty regulations may be one of Pandora's greatest public relations assets. It allows the company to maintain a well-constructed public image while engaging in business practices that go largely unnoticed. Pandora's initial public offering in 2011 raised $235 million. In 2012, Westergren spoke on Capitol Hill in favor of the Internet Radio Fairness Act, or IRFA, which sought to significantly decrease performance royalties and declaw the Copyright Royalty Board. The backlash from musicians, for once, was ferocious. Prominent songwriters who wrote hits performed by pop stars like Beyoncé and Christina Aguilera protested the meager earnings they had received from Pandora despite millions of plays on the radio service. More than 130 musicians, including 3 members from Pink Floyd, signed a letter condemning IRFA, which the Music First Coalition, a strident opponent of the bill, publicized in November of 2012. The original IRFA stalled, but a revised version reappeared in early 2013. For the second effort, then Westergren sent an email to musicians in search of signatures on a petition he intended to present to Congress. Amid further backlash, Pink Floyd members continued their opposition that June, noting in a USA Today op-ed the gall of a letter requesting artist support for legislation that would undermine artist income. Quote, "A business that exists to deliver music can't really complain that its biggest cost is music," the band wrote. After widespread condemnation, the Internet Radio Fairness Act foundered. Though Pandora's congressional efforts harmed its public image, its number of users doubled in the 2 years leading up to 2013, and in 2012, Pandora executives, including Westergren and other company officers, cashed in, pocketing proceeds from the sale of $63 million worth of stock. According to Pandora's reported financial disclosures, company executives also collected tens of millions of dollars from stock in the first 6 months of 2014. Also in 2014, the investment firm Crosslink Capital, which owned 1/5 stake in the company at the time of the IPO in 2011, raked in $70 million from the sale of Pandora's stock. Westergren, Pandora's founder and public face, reaped $2 million from the sale of company shares in August alone. Pandora's legal battles with ASCAP and BMI in 2012. In the midst of that, the company bought a small, traditional, also known as terrestrial, radio station in Rapid City, South Dakota called KXMZ. In an op-ed published on thehill.com, Pandora's vice president of the business, Chris Harrison, highlighted the fact that webcasting competitor iHeartRadio enjoys lower songwriting royalties because its parent company, Clear Channel, is licensed by the FCC as a terrestrial broadcaster. And earlier in 2014, Harrison stated in a C-SPAN interview, terrestrial broadcast radio pays less in royalties than Pandora does, and owning a terrestrial radio station was a vehicle for us to take advantage of a better licensing regime. What do you think? Pandora, evil?
When you're in the dark and you want to see, you need electricity. Flip that.
Could the wise men of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia have had knowledge of electricity? Electric illumination? Even electric-based technology? Within the framework of some archaeological evidence, the answer seems yes. This according to the Epoch Times. The most widely cited evidence that ancient Egyptians used electricity is a relief beneath the Temple of Harbor in Dendera, Egypt, that depicts figures standing around a large light bulb-like object. The socket is represented by what appears to be a lotus flower with a stem that runs like a cable along the bottom of the device. Inside the bulb is a snake-like line winding its way out of the lotus flower socket. According to supporters of the hypothesis, this snake represents the filament of the bulb. But where did the power come from to light the bulb in ancient Egypt? An artifact found far away from Egypt, outside the modern-day
Baghdad shows that some electricity production was possible in the Middle East thousands of years ago. This artifact is known as the Baghdad Battery. The Baghdad Battery is simple in comparison with today's batteries. It consists of a clay jar with a stopper made of asphalt. Through the stopper is an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder. It is believed that the jar would have been filled with a common acidic substance, such as vinegar, that would allow it to produce about 1.1 volts of electricity. Replicas of the battery have shown that it works. The 1.1 voltage may not seem like much, but if you string several of these batteries together, the voltage increases. The battery was dated between 250 BC to 250 AD. The current belief is that these batteries were used in electroplating, which is the bonding of a layer of one type of metal onto the surface of another. Some claim that one of the most iconic structures in Egypt is in fact the most misunderstood device on the planet, specifically the Great Pyramid of Giza. The king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, in the heart of the Great Pyramid, was once the central power generating apparatus of the superstructure, it is believed. It is constructed primarily of pink granite, a material rich in microquartz crystals. In fact, the Great Pyramid is mostly granite, and granite is made up of tiny quartz crystals that, when exposed to pressure and or energy vibrations, generate electricity. This is known in the scientific community as the piezoelectric effect. This effect is used in many modern technologies such as loudspeakers and signal transducers, and it has some applications in the automotive industry. The granite sarcophagus in the king's chamber, also intricately carved in solid pink granite, could have been instrumental in transmitting the low-frequency vibrations emitted by the earth into electrical energy. The supporting beams in the ceiling of the king's chamber also seem to have been precisely tuned or cut to size to perfectly resonate with this electricity. Planes. The secrets of Flight Club. This according to menshealth.com. Menshealth.com asked 860 airline pilots how they avoid feeling run down on the runway. 80% say they drink more on the job than they do off. Water, that is. The dry air in the cabin dehydrates you and contributes to fatigue, brain fog, and other symptoms of jet lag. Of course, booze does the same thing. What you should do if you're a pilot in this situation is aim to drink 8 ounces of H2O every hour you're in the air, says Smith L. Johnson, the head of NASA's Johnson Space Center's fatigue management team. 69% of pilots say they spend as much time as possible outdoors. Your circadian clock, which is located in your brain's hypothalamus, relies on daylight to decide whether to give you energy or flood you with sleep hormones. The University of Michigan's N-Train app, which is free for iOS, uses your itinerary to recommend when you need bright light and when to switch to total darkness. 68% of pilots say they break a sweat at their destination. In a Japanese study, scientists discovered that men who exercised early in the day were able to more quickly align their sleep schedule with darkness. And they say plan a tough workout for no later than 3 hours before bedtime, Dr. Johnston says. Otherwise, your elevated core temperature can make it harder to sleep. A couple pilots wrote into menshealth.com to say that sex helped them adapt to new time zones. And that may be true since sex releases prolactin, a sedating hormone that can override your circadian clock and, help you conk out easier. That may or may not please your mate. And finally, 22% of pilots said they cut back on calories or stop eating entirely. Researchers at Beth Israel Medical Center found in a rodent study that circadian rhythms rely partially on food. So if you eat as usual, you'll be tired as usual. Go 16 hours without food to restart your circadian clock, the researchers suggest. Schedule it right and you'll arrive hungry and energized. Oh, the late Kevin Gilbert and Toy Matinee. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in PodCastro Valley, California, Kevin had a hand in writing the song All I Wanna Do Is Have Some Fun with Sheryl Crow. He was part of the Tuesday Night Club that Sheryl Crow named, I think, her first album after. And he was supposed to replace Phil Collins when Phil Collins left Genesis in the mid-90s. But sadly, he took his life years ago. But he put out some interesting solo albums, too. Kevin Gilbert, look him up. And then Patrick Leonard, who was in that band with him, produced all the big albums for Madonna, like in the 80s and early 90s. And I think he also created another Toy Matinee type band called Third Matinee, which featured Richard Page, the lead singer of Mr. Floyd the Floorman's favorite band. Well, he likes them and Yaz and their album, The Upstairs at Eric's. So he's got some impeccable taste, you can say.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And the picture is a drawing with the lady that we found out yesterday had her hair done by Carole King, Benita the Rodeo Queen. Thanks, Mike, yeah. And in the cartoon, we talk about how I'm a rodeo queen. Yeah, and we don't cover Carole King, though. Don't talk about that. No, it's a shame. Yeah. You know, she was in a couple episodes of Gilmore Girls. Mike, what is it that, like, you don't know and, like, you don't talk about? That's a good question. Next show, we're going to find a very fascinating interview taking place on this show. Yes, the segment Into an Interview with two people that I have been waiting a long time to talk to on this show. I'm so excited to have the lovely Lupe and the dashing Joey Muller of the Berkeley band Mullerette on the next segment of Into an Interview here on Mike's Daily Podcast. They have some great music. We'll hear it. It's unbelievably addictive. Plus, we'll hear from Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!